So I'll give you an overview on Aptuit compound registration and the project we did to do with ChemAxon to integrate compound registration into our integrated discovery data management solution. So first of all, who is Aptuit? Probably most of you are not familiar with Aptuit, so I have a couple of slides that are introducing the company. Aptuit is a contract research organization that delivers really integrated services from drug discovery to preclinical and pharmaceutical science services. We do all of these services under a single roof, so we have an integrated team that can operate all these services like we are in a single company. And we have some numbers here. So we have 5 global sites, more than 700 employees, and we have worked with a large number of customers in the world. And really, we believe that there are very few companies, probably we are the only one that we have such an integrated drug development offering across all the spectrum. So, I mean, some words about myself. I have a degree in computer science, so I'm really not coming from the chemistry space. I'm coming more from the IT space. And as already specified, I have had some experience as part of our GSK past in developing software and being leader for the implementation in GSK for the electronic lab notebook. And then with Aptuit, I've taken increasing responsibility around the company information system and technologies. So I'd like to give an overview of how we, as Aptuit, we have approached the problem of managing the integrated discovery data space. And really, particularly the site in Italy where we have the large number of scientists was a former GSK site. And when we detached from GSK, we had really to redesign and rethink the way we organize our discovery data. And so we started from the basis, and we redesigned really the way we organize raw data, and then derived data, integrated data, and client reports. So we give priority, first of all, to establish common baseline rules in the way we organize raw data, and we capture that. And then we focused our strategy on the second and third layer, which is processing and organizing derived data, and integrating that into a single view that correlates and analyzes the information. So we try to build incremental layers of data integrity. So this is a view of, a general view of what we have defined as a strategy and how ChemAxon play in this strategy. So really starting from the left-hand side, left corner, we have created an Aptuit registry system and a client for chemists to register compounds. And this Aptuit registry system contains all the information about the structural information. And this is really the ChemAxon compound registration system. After that, we work to define our own inventory system, which contains batch-level information and container-level information. And then, third, we created what we call our integrated biology data system, which is basically a database or a set of databases that are containing a screening result and assay results information that are produced by the scientist and uploaded into this set of databases. All of these informations, so structural information, batch and container level information, and operational biology information are all pulled together into a visualization tool and layer, which is based on InstantJChem, that is available to analysts, project leaders, and scientists. In addition to this, we built our own set of tools and administration consoles to manage what is a fundamental important element for a contracting research organization, which is the access control and the project segregation. Because when we were, as part of GSK, we were working for one client. Now we are working for more than 100 clients. And so we have to ensure that all the information that we produce in this flow are physically and logically segregated between each client. So we mentioned here also some of the other pieces that we are working right now, which is the integration into this architecture of our plate and HTS processes and workflow, the integration into this architecture of an assay request tracking system, and finally we are working to complement all of these with an electronic lab notebook. So I used already some of the terminology. So registration system, we store compound level information and properties. In our inventory system, we store batch and container level information, and it supports the containers warehouse handling and the shipping to the clients. And finally, we use the acronym IBDS for Integrated Biological Data System, which is our set of tools that enable the scientists to store, manage, and access biological data, and to organize this information and put this information together with the chemical information in a viewing tool. So I'd like to give you now a little bit of history of how we have gone through this. So how we created what we have created so far and why we designed this strategy. So really, in 2010, we separated from GSK, and we created our own center, as part of us becoming a CRO, which is really focused in drug discovery and development. And then at that time, the first priority was to put something in place to enable registration processes and inventory processes. So we started with contacting ChemAxon, getting some licenses of Instant JChem, and creating basically an IT-driven process by which scientists could submit requests for registration via form in Excel, and then IT, through the tools, was registering this information and maintaining the consolidation and the correctness of this information. For the inventory part, in a similar way, we started with an Excel spreadsheet to maintain the information organized and to look up information into the registry. Then, after that, we started building our own strategy, and we started plugging in components into the strategy. So one key theme from our point of view was that we could not do a big bang with a big provider and purchase in one go the entire suite. We needed to build it incrementally, and in order to do it incrementally, we needed a partner that could complement our competencies and provide us the individual modules that we need over time. So really, we looked at the registration system options. We did the first initial project with another vendor, which really didn't play, and so we stopped that project, and we connected with ChemAxon, asking their availability to work with us on a registry system toward the end of 2012. In parallel, we started working on our internal integrated biology data system with one particular client to create the infrastructure for capturing the assay results, for organizing them, and for making them available together with chemical information. We also started in 2013 the implementation of our own internal inventory system. We assessed what was on the market available, but we needed a non-expensive solution that could respond to our initial need and could be in place very quickly. So we preferred to build something ourselves that could be plugged into the rest of the puzzle. And so we started the development of that. And also we really worked with ChemAxon on the implementation of the compound registration system using their product, which in the meantime, in 2013, was really becoming available as a commercial product. So again, toward the end of 2013, then we produced a final version of our integrated biology data system, which really enabled the scientists to be able to create in an automated way the assay tables where the biology data coming from the assays is posted, enabled to apply validation rules, and the definition of these rules could be done in a configurable way so that we could control the quality of the data. We also can manage at that point with the tool that we created a list of values so that we can manage all the master data associated with the information we produce. And we introduced the concept of user roles and the access control associated with that. And just to finish on the kind of history line, in early 2014, then we completed this initial strategy implementation with the introduction of additional tools that have odd names like Pacman, which is project and client management. Again, a bespoke tool that we created to self-administer basically the clients and the project we do with clients so that we could use those attributes as attributes to be filtering the access to the data. And so the second component is this ABAM system that we created, which basically is an attribute-based access management system. So it takes the information about the project, the client, the compounds, the container, and the batches, and makes sure that only teams and users that are working for a given client and project can access those informations. We also completed the implementation and the rollout of our inventory system for our centrally managed compound management service. The registration system was also released on the ChemAxon compound registration 6.1 product. And we released the Instance GChem version 6 as the main visualizing tool for all our chemists and for a large number of our biologists. What we are now working on, it's an evolution of some of these aspects. So we are working to complete the rollout of our integrated biology data system to all the biologists and the DMPK scientists that we have working in our labs. We are currently assessing what are the valid options that we can take at this point as an electronic lab notebook to complement and plug into this architecture. We are working to integrate our plate management solution into this data architecture. And we are also working on an assay request tracking and what we call client real-time data portal, which is really something that came out during the day today, really about collaborating with clients. So we are working to build a portal which allows our clients to see in real time the data we are producing and enables them to discuss this data in real time with our scientists, which is our view around collaboration with external partners. So I now give you a view on some of the screenshots that we have created with all these systems, so you have a better idea on the different systems that I mentioned and how they look like. So this first one is the ChemAxon compound registration system that we have implemented in our architecture. So if you remember in the chart below, it's the one at the bottom left corner, and it basically allows chemists to register compounds. It introduced, we worked with ChemAxon to introduce some of the specific configuration and customizations we wanted. For example, the integration with our Active Directory, information in the company, and the introduction of some fields here that are custom fields that we wanted to enable project-based validation and access control, and other fields that we wanted to introduce. The second screenshot I have now here is our inventory system. Again, this is the one in the middle that is really managing batch level and container level information. So the chemist, once he has registered the structure information in our register system, he's then submitting the batch level and container level information to this system through a form which is basically triggered by the structure registration ChemAxon web page and allows the chemist to insert the additional information that are required for the registration of the batch and the container. And so all this information then are sent to the compound management service, which then takes care of receiving the container and the batch and stocking it or distributing it to the screenings. The third screenshot is really entering into what we call the IBDS system, so our integrated biology system. And in this screenshot, well, you have quite a lot of information. Basically, this is the administration console for the integrated biology. And just to give you an idea, it basically allows to define new tables for a specific project that are basically our screenings. And then for each table, you can define the type of fields and properties that are captured within the table and how they map with the Excel template that we provide the scientist to be able to capture the data and then upload it in our database. So really, this is a tool used by our administrators to set up new templates for new screenings and allow the scientists to use their own Excel results to post the template, the results into our database. And we also define here the validation rules that we apply at the posting time when the scientist posts the data to do a number of checks on the data to make sure that the data is correct and there are no data integrity issues when we upload the data. The other screenshot here is instead the loading tool. So this tool instead, this view is available to all the scientists that are, the screening scientists that are producing screening results and want to post the data on the associated database. And basically they can upload a spreadsheet template which contains the data. The data is loaded then into this posting tool you can go through a validation step, which first apply all the validation rules to check any kind of deviation to that. Then the deviations are shown in the bottom part. Then the scientist can resolve the deviations. And once all the deviations are resolved, can proceed with the import of the data. And finally, this is the second tool that we use and really collaborated with ChemAxon on, which is the use of Instant JChem as a visualization tool that pulls together all the information that we discussed before. So if you see in the little box at the bottom left, this is the top part, which basically takes information from the registry, from the structure registry information, the batch and the container information, and the screening result information, and pulls everything together into one view, which basically shows structure information and all the associated batch, container, and screening result informations. We organize all of these in shared projects. We have a shared project for each client/target. So the same client can have multiple projects with us on different targets, and we organize the data for each target in a separate way, so that we can look at all the screening results and all the data produced for that target, for that client. And again, these are a couple of examples on the additional tools that we have created ourselves to basically capture and administer all the access information. So first of all, what we call the project and client management tool, which basically defines the list of clients and the list of projects that we have with each client as a master list that we centrally manage, and that is used then by all the other components of the architecture to apply the access control. And the second tool that we created for ourselves to manage access is this attribute-based access management system, which basically takes the information about the project and the client, takes the information about the roles that there are and the operators that can be defined, and then applies all this information to define the access level for a given user on a given project and client. So in this way, we have centralized all the access control information in one place that we use as an administration place, and we distribute this information to all the various components of our architecture to ensure that in each part of the architecture, only the authorized users can access and see that data. Okay. This is a lot of information just to give you an idea on the technologies we used. Some of the technologies are the ChemAxon technologies, as we said before, but on behind the scene we used, for the registration part, we used really, the ChemAxon product plus Oracle in the back end, and we created with ChemAxon a separate chemistry operational data store, which is really showing or making available the internal registry information to our downstream system so that they can be pulled together into a single view. And then we have our own internal inventory, which is again based on, Microsoft WPF client plus Oracle on the back end. And we have our integrated biology domain, where we create separate schemas for each client and target. And we create a biology operational data store where we basically maintain the dictionary of information, and this information are then all put together into Instant JChem shared projects that are then available for the scientists to visualize information. In addition to these, we have these two components at the bottom, which are the access control components about managing the project and the clients, and the role-based access control, and our Active Directory. So, in conclusion, I really ran through the slides to stay within the time and to give you a flavor of what we have done. So, we have created a strategy at the beginning of our, if you want, journey as a CRO. We have implemented over time this strategy in collaboration with ChemAxon. And why we choose ChemAxon? Because ChemAxon, in a rapid changing environment like ours, gave us flexibility, really, to work with them. They complemented very well our skill set and our internal capabilities. We could work through modules, so we could plug in modules when we needed them in a very easy integration, and we also could use these modules in conjunction with our bespoke systems that already existed or we were about to build. We usually had a very fast response times every time we had a problem or a change in requirements. It was very easy to interact with the ChemAxon team. We had one dedicated expert, really, that is the compound registration product owner that really worked side by side with us to understand our requirements and make sure that they were implemented in the registry system and in the other modules that we used. If I can say something about what can be improved, I think having one person that is the product owner, which is also working with us directly, was good, but also was some kind of bottleneck sometimes, because I mean, maybe having a bigger team or a larger way of accessing different resources would have helped. And the second thing is, at least from our perspective, up to today and tomorrow, maybe some lack of visibility about a wider strategy on how all these modules and toolkit maybe are fitting together in a kind of long-term strategy. So this will help in positioning ourselves with ChemAxon and understanding how we can expand our collaboration. Last slide, just thanking the project team that worked on the implementation of our strategy so far. So we have some people coming from the Aptuit team, so Aptuit IT, plus some key users in our drug design and discovery group, plus obviously Saba and Akos that were key players and key partners with us in this project implementation. And with this, I completed.